Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. So this is going to be a new experience. First of all, this series only has 2 chapters so far. Usually I discuss series that are ongoing with multiple chapters. I think I've only done one that was on a one shot. And then other than that, the shortest one I had, I think maybe had like 7 chapters released at the time that I did the spotlight. So this is kind of new. Also, this series deals with subject matter that's kind of heavy and dark, and YouTube doesn't like the words being mentioned. I guess I can just say that. So, because of YouTube's algorithm, I'm going to have to kind of walk on eggshells to discuss this series. In fact, I can't even say the name of this series. If you guys see the thumbnail, you guys can see it there. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to refer to it as Self-Deletion Girl. Um, pretty sure you guys can figure that one out. So yeah, self-deletion plays a very huge part in this. It's basically the theme of this series. And this series, I don't want to say it's a dark comedy. It's more like a dark dramedy. It's like a dark comedy with a lot of drama. So yeah, dark dramedy would probably be its best bet. And the best way to describe it in one sense would be a girl uses the powers of self-deletion to fight demons called phobias. There you go. There's your little summary, your little pitch. For anyone, there's not going to be any panels shown, no interiors, and that's just because YouTube is very terrible when it comes to protecting YouTubers. I've received a copyright strike before for my manga stuff. It's really weird because I literally showed like 7 panels with the dialogue and all that stuff erased on a series that had like 8 chapters. It basically had like 2 volumes, and I showed 7 panels, and that was enough for it to get a copyright strike. So on YouTube, you're just gonna see just one image, and that's it. I will discuss everything that's going on, but this is all you'll see. If you guys want to see the uncensored version, and by uncensored, I just mean that I won't walk around eggshells. I will discuss the name of the series. I won't have to be careful about what words I use, and I will show all the interiors that I'm discussing. You guys can see that on BitChute. I'll put a link to that version down below. Otherwise, go about your day, do what you want, and you can just listen to this. It's just basically an audio. So we start off with our main girl. Her name is Kiari, and we see her like sparkly eyes. She's all like sunshine and rainbows, kind of happy-go-lucky, rushing down the street with a piece of toast hanging in her mouth, like the cliche. And she's like, oh man, I'm such a dummy. I'm so late. And we're kind of wondering like, what exactly is she like late to school? And all of a sudden, she comes across this cafe, and the name of the cafe is called the Seaside Cafe. But uh, if you look at it online, it's actually the Self-Deletion Cafe. And everyone inside is completely miserable except for the owner. His name is Ryushio, and he's basically like this, just an old guy in a tuxedo, kind of looks like a butler, and he pretty much says like, I know you guys are depressed, you're sad, and you guys want to self-delete yourself, so I will do that for you. The only condition that I have is that allow me to collect your wills. That's the only condition I have to aid you in your self-deletion. And everyone is miserable except for Kiardi, who's like super excited. She's like jumping up and down, like, nice to meet you. Big old smile on her face. Coming here was all I wanted. It was a dream come true, so I don't have any last words. Jumping on the table, hands in the air. Like, just really weird for someone who wants to delete their lives. But anyways, he takes them outside into a van where he gives them sleeping tablets, and then he starts basically lighting up a charcoal inside. And the whole thing is that they will pass out and breathe in this carbon dioxide and get self-deleted. And so Kiari passes out, and during which she sees like a vision of this girl with like black hair. She's like kind of like freaking out, and then the girl jumps in front of a subway train that runs her over, And then Kaori wakes up and realizes that she hasn't been self-deleted. She's still alive. And not only that, but the other participants that were going to delete themselves with her are also alive, and they're super happy. They don't have a care in the world. It's almost like they were never depressed in the first place. And then they disappear. And then the old man basically explains that there was no self-deletion. The charcoal is like a special charcoal that he made that doesn't emit carbon dioxide. The whole point was that as you're passing out, you realize that you really don't want to self-delete yourself. The whole point is almost kind of like Saw, Jigsaw's plan from the movie Saw, where he makes you appreciate your life. In this case, it's not as bad as basically he tricks you into thinking that you're going to self-delete, and then you wake up and you realize that you didn't, and then you actually appreciate that life that you still have. Except for Kaori. Kaori's pissed off. She's like, why the hell, would you do this? Like, I wanted to self-delete. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, this is a scam. You're the devil. Like, I hate you. I'm going to go home and self-delete myself. And so she goes home. And she's like, preparation complete. She looks at her phone, like, I'm totally late to do this, but I can still make it in time. And you're kind of wondering why. Why exactly, like, is she in such a hurry to self-delete herself today? And we see her going through the process of trying to delete herself. First, she wraps a rope, like a belt, around her neck and tries to delete herself that way, except it doesn't work. Then she finds a knife, she grabs it and tries to stick it in herself, and the blade ends up breaking. She tries to stick her head like in a furnace, and the flames like just move away from her head, so the flames won't even touch her. And then she does the really crazy one where she runs up to the top of her apartment complex, and she jumps off. But right before she hits the ground, she just stops. Like, she freezes in midair, and she has this really funny look on the face. What the hell is going on? That's the one thing I love about this series. The artwork. Oh my god, the artwork, especially the expressions. Like, the artist nails the expressions on these characters' faces so freaking good. It's really funny because I looked up the artist's name. The artist and the writer are the same person, and I looked up their name, and they actually do a lot of hentai. So maybe that explains why they're so good with expressions. But yeah, so she freezes, and she's like, "Why can't I self-delete myself?" And then the old man shows up. Ryoshido shows up and basically explains to her that you were chosen. Basically, out of 30,000 volunteers per year, one of them will not be able to self-delete by their own hands. And he explains this story about how there's these demons in the world, and they're called phobias. And what they do is they latch on to someone and they amplify all their negative thoughts. And people basically who fall into depression, people who later end up self-deleting themselves, is because of these phobias. And he basically explains that, when you passed out, did you see a vision? And Kiardi explains, yeah, I saw this girl self-delete herself by jumping in front of a train. And the guy says, you have to stop that. If you stop that from happening, then your curse of immortality basically will disappear. So of course Kiari really, really wants to self-delete herself, so she's like, all right, I'll do it. So she pretty much stalks this girl running around saying, I won't let you self-delete yourself. This girl's like freaking out, like, who's this girl? Why the hell is she talking about me self-deleting? And like, why does she keep hounding me and chasing me everywhere? And Kiari basically gives this story about how, like, pretty much like the girl is constantly hounded by her mom. Like, her mom is constantly pushing her to get good grades, to go to a good school so she can get a good job, but it's too much pressure and too much stress. And Kiari explains, like, I get that your mom's putting a lot of pressure on you, but she's doing it because she loves you. Like, she loves you. She wants the best for you. Rather than deleting yourself, why don't you talk to her first? Talk to her first. Explain, like, how she's stressing you out, how she's making you depressed. Explain that to her, and she'll most likely back off. And it works. And Kiardi starts to walk away when she looks back and she sees the girl stumble, fall into the tracks, and get deleted. And we have this really great image, which I'm ashamed you guys can't see unless you go to the BitChute, where we just see Kiardi for the first time, like just completely like why did this happen again? And it just there's another foreshadowing. She's like just like covered in blood, and as she looks around the crowd, she sees one of the demons, and we see her back at the cafe. And I love this image. This image is so freaking awesome. So we see Kiardi depressed and just broken, and the image of her being broken is even more shown by we see a glass completely shattered all around her, and in all the glass we see panels of from previous pages and stuff of her happy-go-lucky and smiling and stuff like that. And so we see all this happiness displayed on shattered glass, and in the middle of this we just see this really sad, depressed Kiardi, and she explains her story. And her story is that she had a best friend named Taiyu, and Taiyu was like perfect. He had good grades, he was athletic, he had a lot of friends. And for some reason, he really liked Kiardi, and he basically goes up to Kiardi and he explains like, like, I love your smile, let's get married. And she agrees, and she goes home and she's super happy, and she's just thinking about like when they turn 16 and stuff like that, they'll be able to get married and be happy. And later that night, Taiyu ends up climbing up a building and jumping off and self-deleting himself, and that basically broke Kiardi. And Kiardi basically explains that the smile on her face is fake. Like, she made a promise to herself that because Taiyu loved her smile, that she would keep smiling. But she'll only keep smiling until she turns 16, which is the legal age to get married. And when she turns 16, she will self-delete herself. That way she can, be with Taiyu. So that's why we see her so happy-go-lucky and smiling all the time. It's fake. And I was like, oh man, that's a hella good story. Like, I didn't even see that coming. Like, I was wondering why she's so happy-go-lucky all the time, and why she's so like gung-ho about self-deleting. And now you find out why. Like, she's so gung-ho about self-deleting because she wants to reunite with her best friend, and she's happy-go-lucky because it's all fake. She doesn't, she's not really smiling. She doesn't want to be here anymore. But anyways, the butler, the cafe owner, explains to her about the demons and tells her that after someone self-deletes themselves because of a phobia, they have 40 hours to come back. Basically, Kiardi will have the power, a power basically like a magical gold power, where she can fight these demons. And if she fights the phobia and kills it within 40 hours of the phobia taking a life, then the person whose life got taken will come back. So we have this transformation sequence, and usually in magical girl stories, they have like a magic wand or something. And this is actually I can't even say the word because of YouTube's algorithm. It's a rope with a hoop at the end. I'm sure you guys can figure that one out. Bubba Wallace, the race car driver, there was a huge hoopla, with the garage pull. It's that. It's one of those. And basically, it drops in front of her. She wraps it around herself and jumps off a chair. And then the rope snaps. And when the rope snaps, there's like a flash of light, and she's in her self-deletion dress, and she's called the neck hanging maiden. That's the name of these like magical girls. She becomes a magical girl. She busts into the morgue where the phobia is, and she battles the phobia. And I'm gonna leave it there. But yeah, that's Self-Deletion Girl. I like it. I think the characterization is really good. Like, the character Kiryu is really complex, and the art does an amazing job of capturing her like expressions and stuff like that. Like when you see her finally break, and you see that smiling facade just vanish, like that hit me. I was like, oh wow, like I was not expecting that, and it's just like it's such a powerful image. I wish I could show it to you guys. Yeah, the artwork is freaking fantastic. The story, I like it. I like the story. I like the dialogue and all that stuff. The translation is really good. Let me find the translators real quick. All right, so the translators are just called Google TL scans. That's weird. I wonder if they're using just Google Translation, because usually when they do that, like the grammar comes across really terrible. But this is actually really good. Like I can understand everything perfectly. The grammar is great. Like it's not one of those words like it's in English, but it's a direct translation. So you're just kind of like you have to reread dialogue multiple times to kind of figure out what they're saying. So, yeah, I don't get that at all with this. So yeah, the writing is good, the translation is good, the artwork is freaking fantastic. I will say again that the subject matter deals heavily with self-deletion, and self-deletion becoming like a power. I mean, it's basically her power. She uses her power of self-deletion to fight demons. So I know some people are kind of touchy about that. Some of the comments that I've seen in forums about this, people have dropped it just for that because they feel like it takes that topic lightly. So I'm just throwing that out there. But if not, if that's something that you can deal with, you can handle, then I will highly recommend this. Again, right now it's only 2 chapters that's been translated so far. Hopefully we'll get more. But yeah, this really good series. Then the author is Nakayama Atsushi. Atsushi. I probably butchered that. But I looked up the author, and yeah, a lot of hentai. So I was really surprised. This is like the second time I've done a series where an hentai artist like does a regular series, and it's actually really freaking good. The other one was Ghostwriter, which again, like I highly recommend Ghostwriter. If you guys haven't read that yet, go read that. It's so freaking good. But yeah, that's Self-Deletion, girl. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, tell me what you guys think. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already. Hit the bell for notification. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Dislike if you didn't. Feel free to comment down below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.